When I was 8, my parents went through a divorce that was surprisingly civil compared to most. My dad, now 48, earns a solid income. My mom, 45, was a homemaker during their marriage but had to take an office admin job after the split. They never really hashed out custody or financial details. My dad started a college fund for me when I was born and kept adding to it post-divorce. It's got about $50,000 now, not enough for an elite university, but plenty for the state school I'm set on attending. At 10, my mom remarried my stepdad, 52, and that's when family dynamics got messy. He brought along his son from a previous marriage, my stepbrother, now 24. To be blunt, my stepbrother is utterly unmotivated. He dropped out of high school at 16 and has never worked, not even a part-time gig. He spends his days gaming and smoking weed, fully supported by my mom and stepdad. My mom has always been the type to try to solve everyone's problems. Growing up, she'd focus on my stepbrother's issues, like his friend drama, over my needs, like homework help. If I wanted to join extracurriculars, she'd claim we couldn't afford it, yet she'd buy my stepbrother pricey gaming gear or sneakers. I learned to fend for myself, which made me independent but left our relationship distant. She's more like a caring acquaintance than a parent. Fast forward to now. I'm 18, just graduated high school, and got accepted to State University for the fall. I've worked part-time since 16, saving for books and living costs. My dad and I sorted out financial aid and the college fund in February, and everything was ready. Then last week, my mom called a rare family meeting with my stepdad and stepbrother present, which immediately raised red flags. She started talking about family unity and helping each other thrive. I was skeptical. Then she dropped the bombshell. She wanted me to delay college to tutor my stepbrother so he could get his GED and maybe apply to college. I thought she was kidding. My stepbrother, who's been idle for 8 years, suddenly needed my help. She said he learns better one-on-one and that tutoring him would strengthen our sibling bond. She claimed I'm great at explaining things and could change his life. Then came the kicker. She'd withhold my college fund until he caught up academically so we could start college together, like we're kids sharing a milestone. I was stunned and asked if she was serious. She doubled down, saying it'd be a beautiful shared journey. My stepdad agreed while my stepbrother barely looked up from his phone. I flat out refused. I've planned my college path for years, enrolled, and made commitments. I wasn't pausing my life for someone who's never tried. My stepbrother sarcastically said, "Thanks for the support," and I snapped. I told him he's been freeloading for 8 years, contributing nothing but chaos and costs. Why should I derail my future for him? My mom called me harsh, saying my stepbrother struggles with motivation and depression. I said he could seek therapy like anyone else. I'm not his parent or tutor. The argument escalated. My stepdad called me ungrateful, my mom cried about wanting everyone to succeed, and my stepbrother stormed off. I called my dad and told him everything. He was silent for a while, then said my mom had no authority to withhold the fund. Apparently, when I turned 18, control of the fund automatically shifted to me. My mom only managed it while I was a minor. Now my mom acts like it's all decided. She's bought GED prep books and turned the dining room into a study area. My stepdad keeps talking about how great it'll be when his son finally contributes to society. But my dad is furious. He said he didn't save for 18 years just to let my mom use the money to fix her stepson's life. He's contacting his lawyer to ensure she can't interfere with my plans. I feel guilty because my mom genuinely believes delaying my college is best for the family. But she's never put my needs first, so why should I let her now? Honestly, I doubt my stepbrother even wants an education. He's never shown interest in anything requiring effort. I think my mom and stepdad just want to feel like they didn't fail as parents by letting him waste his 20s. Maybe I'm selfish, but I've worked hard for my goals and can't see why I should sacrifice them for someone who's never tried. Update: a few days ago, I shared how my mom tried to make me delay college to tutor my aimless stepbrother, and many suggested my dad get legal help. He did, and things have exploded. On Monday, my dad called his lawyer not just about the college fund, but to review the entire divorce agreement. Turns out, my mom has been living in my dad's house this whole time. The house I grew up in, it's still in his name. Per their divorce, she could stay there until I turned 18 or graduated high school for my stability, but she was supposed to move out afterward. There was also a clause that if she remarried, she'd lose housing rights, but my dad never enforced it to avoid disrupting my life. On Tuesday, His lawyer sent my mom a cease and desist letter demanding immediate release of my college fund and giving her 30 days to leave the house, as her custodial period ended. My mom called me in tears, accusing my dad of trying to make her homeless and blaming me for letting him. I reminded her she tried to block my college money. She insisted she was just holding it for the family's benefit, but I said that's the same as withholding it. My stepdad was livid when he got home and learned about the eviction. He didn't even know the house wasn't my mom's. She'd told him she got it in the divorce. He was furious, saying he'd never have married her if he knew she had no assets. Their shouting match was intense. My stepbrother emerged to see what was happening and had a meltdown when told, whining about losing his stable environment and how he couldn't focus on his GED now. I told him he's had 8 years to get it but chose gaming instead. On Wednesday, my dad came over to discuss college plans. My mom tried pleading with him to let them stay longer, saying it wasn't fair to punish her husband and stepson for her errors. My dad calmly said the divorce terms were clear, and he'd already given her 3 extra years for my sake. My stepdad, eavesdropping, stormed in, yelling that it wasn't right for my dad to control their home and calling him a jerk. My dad coolly pointed out they'd lived rent-free in his house for 8 years while my stepbrother contributed nothing, suggesting gratitude over entitlement. I was impressed by his firmness. Now my mom and stepdad are scrambling to find a new place, and my stepbrother is having daily freakouts about facing real-world responsibilities. My mom keeps guilting me, saying I turned my dad against them, but she brought this on herself by trying to control my college fund. My dad helped me finalize enrollment, and I'm set for university in the fall. He's also creating a new trust fund with house sale proceeds, with extra legal safeguards so my mom can never access it. I feel bad for her, but she prioritized my stepbrother, lied to her husband, and tried to derail my future. These are her consequences. Update. The house hit the market last week and already has several offers above asking. My dad's thrilled. Update 2. It's been 4 months since my last update, and the drama hasn't stopped. My mom and stepdad moved out in September after the 30-day notice, into a cramped 2-bedroom apartment 40 minutes from my school. I moved into dorms in January for spring semester, thank goodness. The apartment is tiny. My stepbrother sleeps on the couch, his gaming setup barely fits, and he constantly gripes about space. My mom and stepdad share a small bedroom, and my room when I visit is practically a closet. My stepdad isn't coping with the downgrade. He keeps complaining about going from a spacious house to this and blames my mom for not securing more in the divorce. He's paying rent for the first time, and it's eating most of his low retail job wages. My mom picked up a weekend waitressing job on top of her office work to cover costs. She's exhausted and stressed about money. My stepdad started accusing her of misleading him about her finances when they married, saying he wouldn't have proposed if he'd known she was broke. It's ugly. My stepbrothers know better. Instead of working, he whines about his ruined life and how the stressful environment stops him from improving himself. He even said if my mom had just taken my college money, he could have moved out and started school. Insane, since it was never hers and he's 24 with no initiative. My dad sold the house in December for $30,000 over asking and bought a smaller place near his work. He used some profits for my new ultra-secure trust fund and boosted my college allowance, letting me focus on studies. My mom barely speaks to me now. When I lived with them last fall, she'd give me wounded looks, like I ruined her marriage. When I tried discussing school, she'd make snide remarks about how nice it must be to chase my dreams while her family falls apart. Moving to dorms was a game changer. I'm thriving, making friends, joining clubs, and escaping the tension at her place. Visits are awkward. They treat me like the bad guy. My stepbrother still hasn't touched his GED prep books, making excuses about the living situation or needing better materials. My mom's starting to see her plan to fix him was doomed, but she won't admit it, blaming everyone else instead. I'm loving college and growing closer to my dad. My mom's life is a mess, but those were her choices. Update 3, I wasn't planning another update, but this situation keeps spiraling. Last month, my stepdad filed for divorce. 6 months of paying rent and living in a tiny apartment was too much for him, and he decided the marriage wasn't worth it. My mom's shattered, worse than when she and my dad split. She thought they were forever, and now she's calling me sobbing, saying he's abandoning her when she needs him most. He's not entirely wrong to be upset. She misled him about her finances their whole marriage, letting him believe she owned the house and never mentioning my dad's support. He's told people she deceived him about their future together, which is kind of true, but his outrage feels hollow after living off my dad's money for years. Shockingly, my stepbrothers turned on my mom, blaming her for ruining his education chances. He says she should have just taken my college money outright, claiming her weakness in not fighting my dad harder for the house and funds destroyed his life. Their screaming matches are intense. He calls her a failed stepmother for not providing stability. Coming from someone who's never paid a cent toward expenses, that's bold. My stepdad moved out 2 weeks ago, taking his furniture and kitchen items. My mom had to scramble to replace basics like plates. She's working 3 jobs now, office work, waitressing, and evening cleaning, to afford the apartment alone. She sold her car because she couldn't cover insurance and gas, so she busses everywhere, adding hours to her commute. She's lost weight, looks drained, and her hair's graying from stress. My stepbrother's still jobless, living with her, talking about moving out but with no means or plans, just gaming and complaining. My mom apologized last week, crying, admitting she was wrong to try delaying my college and prioritizing my stepbrother. She said watching him blame everyone while she works herself to death showed her some people can't be helped. It's the first time she's owned a mistake in our family. I'm not sure I'm ready to forgive, but it was something. My dad offered to help her find a cheaper place, but she refused, too proud to take his help. I get it, but she's struggling hard. I'm wrapping up my freshman year, loving college. My stepbrother still hasn't started GED prep, making endless excuses. Everyone's given up on him. Update 4. I thought the drama was done, but my family's a relentless mess. A few weeks ago, my mom called, hysterical, saying my stepbrother stole her credit cards and ran up $15,000 in debt. He'd been secretly ordering gaming gear and designer clothes, delivering them to friends' addresses, and taking Ubers everywhere for months. She didn't notice until her card was declined at the grocery store. Checking her statements, she saw charges tied to her stepson's hangouts. By the time she realized, he'd vanished while she was at work, taking what he could carry and cutting contact. My mom filed a police report for fraud against her stepson, which crushed her. She felt she failed him, blaming herself for missing warning signs, though his selfishness was obvious for years. The credit card companies held her liable for most of the debt since she reported it late, dismissing her excuse that it was a family member. She's now got $15,000 in debt on top of her bills and can't cope. She moved to a cheaper, tiny studio apartment, gave up her bus pass, and walks or gets coworker rides in bad weather. She filed for bankruptcy, a grueling process that left her feeling like a failure, though this wasn't entirely her fault. My dad's been helping with rides but not money, saying she needs to learn financial independence after years of relying on others. She looks awful, more weight loss, graying hair, aged years in months. My stepbrother was arrested in another state for similar fraud, served 8 months, and got out recently but hasn't repaid my mom or contacted her. My ex-stepdad remarried and acts like my mom and stepbrother never existed. My mom's rebuilding slowly, finally seeing she can't fix people who won't try. I'm thriving in college, grateful I didn't sacrifice my future for my stepbrother's hopeless cause. If I had, he'd likely have learned nothing, wasted my time, and maybe stolen from me too. At least this way, only my mom paid the price for trusting someone unworthy. Lesson learned. You can't save those who won't save themselves, and you shouldn't give up your dreams for someone else's unrealistic hopes.